Hi all. My name is Catherine, Assistant Professor from the Department of AAML, SNS College of Technology, Coimbatore. So, from the continuation of the previous lecture series, today we shall see about the active attacks. Active attacks, as you know, passive attacks does not involve any modification of the message. So, they just eavesdrop or they just overheard the message. Here in active attacks, as the name tells, active means it actively involves some modification of the data stream or the creation of a false stream. Either they modify the original message or they send a false message. So under this, we have four categories: masquerade, replay attack, a modification of message, and denial of service attack. So we shall see one by one. Masquerade. Masquerade means pretending to be somebody else. Like here, you could see from the picture, there are Bob and Alice communicating, and Darth earlier, Darth was just overhearing. Here, what he is doing is Bob and Alice are communicating over the internet, where they are sending some confident messages or sensitive messages. Here you could see here the Bob and Alice is not basically communicating. There is no communication happening between Bob and Alice. But what the Darth does is, earlier we know that he captured the messages and he overheard the messages from Bob. Now he is pretending to be Bob and sending some messages to Alice. For example, he is sending a message from pretending to be Bob and asking some no permissions to access the server or access the company's secret messages or secret files. So Alice, what will she will think is like Bob is an authenticate or legitimate employer of that company. So she will think like Bob is sending this message and she might give access to the sensitive information of the company. So this is called as masquerade, pretending to be the legitimate user here. So earlier he stole the information from the Bob, and now he is sending the messages to the Alice to be pretending to be Bob. So this is called as masquerade. And replay attack. So earlier Bob and Alice were not communicating. So here Bob and Alice is communicating. You could see in the picture what Darth does is he captures the message from the Bob, then he is later replaying message to Alice. What it happens, no? First, Bob's message will go and reach Alice. So Alice will receive a message. Again, Darth will also again send a message. So here what happens, no? When you get a legitimate or illegitimate messages 2-3 times, we will be in a confused state whether we should trust this message or not to trust. So Alice will either she will stop replying to Bob, which will affect his work. So this is called as replay attack, capturing the message from the sender and sending that again and again to the receiving side. So they'll be confused which one is the legitimate message and which one is the illegitimate message. Next is modification of message. Here, what he does is the Bob and Alice are communicating. They're trying to communicate the message. But what Darth does is he captures the message and he modifies according to his necessity. And then he is later sending it to Alice. So Alice, when she receives the message, she will think like Bob has sent this message. For example, Bob is asking for some data from the Alice computer. So here Darth is adding some more information to that data. If Bob is asking only about the files of the organization, which of the 2022 year, for example, here Darth is asking for 2021 and 2020 year data. So Alice would think like only Bob has asked this message, and she might release those files to the Darth. So this is called as modification of message. Next is denial of service. As I told you earlier, there should be availability always. If you are trying to use a bank and the server should be available all the time, only then you can make use of it and your job will be done. So here Bob is trying to communicate to the company server where is the Alice is located. What Darth does is he disrupts the service provided by the server by maybe he is either jamming the server by sending multiple requests, or some way or the other they'll make this server busy. that is called deny. So here the legitimate user Bob, who actually wants to use the server for a fruitful purpose, he will be denied from the service. So these are the four types of active attacks. So now we know what is the security attack. It is of two types: passive attack and active attack. Passive attack does not involve any modification of message, whereas active attack involves modification of message. So in the next lecture series, we shall see about the security mechanisms and the security services. Thank you.